month, Google Analytics from our site from the readers coming on from all around the world. So that's the month prior to now, just before the conference. And you can see that we're getting readers from all over the place. Now the US and the UK dominate. Well, not they don't dominate, but they're the largest. And you wouldn't be surprised by that. But maybe you would be surprised by the fact that they don't dominate. If you add up everybody else, it comes out to be about the same. Again, a legacy publisher can't give you that. The UK and the US is where it's all at. In fact, the US is where it's all at. Forget about the UK. And so we're getting much more readership, broader readership coming. And we've got one book, just quickly highlight, that's on oral literature in Africa, and the continent which gets the largest online reads of that book is Africa. It comes as a surprise that people in Africa are interested in this book, and the fact that they couldn't get it before is frustrating. Okay. Second, readership interaction. I'll wait for some signs when I have to hurry. But reader interaction. Again, I've listed a couple of things here. Ourselves. And I see a typo there, that should be Open Book Publishers, not Open Publishers Book Publications. But we've got a couple of titles which we've put up on a WordPress add-on, that plugin which allows readers of the book to comment on a paragraph-by-paragraph basis of the book. So what happens particularly is that teachers, these are two books in classics that are targeted specifically, these two books at high school, they're texts for A-level students in the UK. And what's happened is that we've got an interaction between teachers and the author, and between teachers themselves on the book, on the text of the book, adding material, discussing paragraphs, arguing about interpretations, and students coming on as well, and collectively coming on to add comments about what they think about things. So we've got this increased dialogue, communication, and enhanced work that's being done just because we've made the text available online. I'll highlight two other books here which are not open book publications. One is Catherine Fitzpatrick's book, which is, we'll hear from her very shortly. Now, this is a great book in two grades. A, you've got to read it. If you want to know about where we're going in humanities and social sciences, where we should be going, go online and read the book. It's open access. But also, it was also done in its construction with a WordPress plugin, and an integral part of the construction of the book was putting it up there and getting feedback and commenting about the various things and reforming the text of the book in the pre-publication world. We've got another one here, Writing History in the Digital Age, of the same, where they've used, the authors have used the open access prior to publication. And they've used that to integrate reader comments. Multimedia publications, again, we've got real scope to incorporate these born digital publications, and I just put a call out here to a new program that I've come across recently called Scala, which just looks fantastic at being able to integrate text and multimedia components it's the sort of first non-Apple product that seems to do that. We can also relate research to relating the research back to the primary sources, which is important. Let me just go through some of the challenges. Funding and business models, clearly one of the things to think about. Library systems and operations, we need to think about the funders. We need to get the funders to really think about the bigger picture. And academics, we got to educate the academics. Business model, just briefly, this is from our last financial year. This is having Elsevier shaking one. We had revenue of 42,000. 3/4 of our revenue came from the sales of the printed work and the other the ebooks. About a quarter of it came from subsidies that authors were able to bring with them. So we don't require them to come up with any money. We do ask them to apply, And so if they apply for grants and get grants, and they come in with some grants, and about a quarter of our revenue came from that important source. Our costs were 41,000, and this is where Elsevier actually should be shaking. Because we got 11 titles out on 41,000, so that's just under £4,000 a title. That's a very different number than what's been quoted around the place at present. And so there are real efficiencies to be made, and clearly for us as well, we can bring that down. Alternative funding, there's lots of different ways of funding through in different presses that have done it. But institutional support should be part of the package in a lot of cases to recognise that dissemination is an institutional requirement, and therefore incorporating it into an institutional strategy of what is the mission of the university or what is the mission is something that can be there. It doesn't necessarily need to be a self-sustaining, we don't want to get it cut in the old publishing box. Okay, challenges. One of our biggest challenges to date has been the libraries. And I just look at the libraries, it is very, very, very difficult to get an open access work into the digital framework of a library. And the libraries say we want open access, but it's really, really tough to get them to be able to incorporate them in, to such an extent that we've had to go with a commercial e-book provider that puts DRM on our un-DRM'd books, just so a library can buy it. So we really, here's my challenge to a librarian. Go to our website, or go to any open access publisher's website, look at our books, and think, how do I get that, not just into my catalogue, but actually into my whole e-learning environment? And then send me the answer, please. And if you don't know how, then look at the Director of Open Access Books. If you don't know about it, have a look at it. Have a look at the Open Library, again, if you don't know about it. And have a look at Open Editions. I see the team, Marin sitting here in front of me. Open Editions is trying to produce a platform that allows libraries to bring in open access works. But think about how you're going to do this. And funders, just think about the big picture. Providing, it's a public good in an economic sense of the word. It doesn't cost very much to get one more reader to the table. And just like street lighting, you don't expect to have to pay for each street light when you walk down the street. And that's the model that we've got. We've got to buy each street light if we want to find our way through this academic street. And you just provide this nice light and then put competition on the network. And so think about it, supporting the bigger picture rather than the individual packages. Okay.
Brilliant, thank you very, very much, Rupert. That was wonderful. Questions? At least one. There's going to be a few, I think. So if we start there. That's great, because that's the side that I don't have to run up. Oh, there's one right at the top there as well.
Thank you for a wonderful talk. Thinking back to the opening talk from Paul about semantic enrichment, my question is, what semantic enrichment do you have in this wonderful opportunity that you have now in your online books?
On the whole, we're failing. At present, we're just putting up the text and the images and putting it up in EPUB and HTML and leaving it, it's open access. So what we want is the community to come along and do it for us. So we haven't integrated that at present. Clearly, can be done. It's easy to do. There's a bandwidth problem for us. Please, come and do it.
I'm Johannes Fournier from the German Research Foundation. Thank you very much for an interesting talk about an important topic for the humanities. A question that came to my mind is whether the freemium model you used would also work for another genre of the humanities, which is to many humanities scholars much more important than the typical one-volume research monograph, and that are scholarly editions, which are worked out over a number of years and might lead to a number of volumes. And would your model also be suitable for financing those projects which are typically based at something like academies of sciences and are organized as very large projects within the humanities, or would you rather say they don't fit?
No, I wouldn't. Can I say neither of those things? My model. A freemium model says, that you've got this package there, that there are add-ons, that there are processes that you can bring in, that some people will pay for the convenience of having that. And so I think that that's a model that anybody wants to be thinking about. But I don't think that's the only model. And so yes, I think that you can use that model to support scholarly editions, that you can use that model to, yes, that's a model to use. But I don't think it's the only model to use. And I don't think that we should be in a world where we're looking for, this is the hallelujah model, and holding it up there and saying this is how it's going to work, because it's not. There's all sorts of funding that's going to come through from all sorts of reasons because of the incentives of what people are trying to do. So who is doing the scholarly edition? Is it a society? If the society is doing it as part of a process of bringing the community together, then they would have a different funding model than a university department that was doing it, or a research funder that was doing it. So I think one really needs to think, why is one doing this? And how does one create a funding structure around that, rather than think, look, we got